So I have my lesson plan with me, right? You know, after 34 years, you always have a lesson plan. One of the things that I want to do, first of all, is thank everybody for coming tonight. I appreciate my team who's here and my family for their support. But for everybody else who's here, I am super excited to get out and mingle a little bit later and do some meet and greet. I noticed on the back of the programs, they have a place for us to sign up and get phone numbers, and so I'm ready. One of the things Jonathan didn't tell you is that I am a Disney fan. Anybody else? So what I love about Disney is the magic that it brings to kids, the hope, right? The opportunity for wishes. Here's the thing. I want that for my grandkids. I want that for my students. But my students have things that get in the way. You know? They don't have the security of a meal every night, or a core family that's going to be there, or even the same home to lay down in. So those things, those challenges, you know, I'd like to say they surprise me, but at this point, really, after 34 years, I hate that it's the norm. It's what we see. Jonathan said, this is my 6th year as the principal at Lodge, but I'm going to say almost always, because 1.5 years I did not teach in the Bosse district, but that was in the very, very beginning. So I've almost always been in students that have high needs. At Lodge, we're very transient. 41% of my students last year enrolled during that school year. 41%. Now, some of them were re-enrollments, and some of them were new enrollments, but nonetheless, we had coming and going kids all day long. So when you talk about building relationships, when you talk about making connections with kids, when you talk about growing kids, it's difficult because it's not the same kids from one year to the next. They want to look at data and say, you're not growing. I don't have the same kids. I'm starting over from scratch every year. Our diversity has exploded, and I love it. Right now, we have families from 13 different countries. We have kids that walk in the door that have not been in this country a week, that know no English, but they're going to sit down in a classroom and learn. That's a challenge. That's a challenge. Based on our data last year, we were the highest in the entire district, the highest ESL population of any school, highest percentage in the entire EVSE. I need your help. Now, Jonathan asked me to try and explain what's different about my school and what, I would say you all, but it's me too. It's a different school than what we went to. Right? So I decided, because we talked, that I was going to tell you about last Friday morning, really quickly. Last Friday morning, this is all before 8 o'clock. 5 teachers messaged me that they were sick, and I had to figure out coverage for those classrooms so that the students would be supervised and could still learn. It was pouring down rain. If anybody remembers last Friday, the wind was blowing and the rain was coming. Our attendance and the weather, there's a direct correlation. Now, I'm a math person, all right? That's not a correlation I want to have, but it is. If our kids do get there, they're wet. Their shoes are wet. They're not wearing coats. They don't have umbrellas, all right? And we're just grateful they walked in, so we do everything we can to get them dry clothes. I got a whole closet in my nurse's office full of clothes. I had a 5th grader who had done something wrong the day before, and so he was waiting for me in the office, and he smelled of marijuana so bad that we had to change his clothing. And then we had to try and explain to him why we had to help him change clothes, because he didn't smell it, because he's around it so much that it doesn't mean anything to him. As a side note, sadly, his home was raided this week, and he is now in foster care. My school nurse came in to talk to me about the vaccination crisis because we have so many students that don't have their vaccines. And because by law, we're supposed to exclude kids that don't have their vaccines. And yet we're trying really hard to get kids to come to school every day. So we've got an oxymoron that we've created. I've got a clinic at Lodge. It's open one day a month. Why do I have a vaccine crisis? I need some help. All right, so that didn't throw any of us for a loop. And it wasn't all me that managed that. I have a fabulous team, a nurse, a social worker, a counselor. I have teachers and secretaries, and everybody pitches in. This is not a one-man show. In any of our title buildings, in any school, anywhere, it's not a one-man show. But in my building, I love my people. Love my people. Let me generalize this a little bit. Our families have generational and situational poverty. I tell my staff, our families don't come to Lodge because things are great, because they bought a new house in a new development. Our families come to Lodge because they're in crisis. We're the poorest neighborhood in the city. They come to Lodge because that's where they have to go. And we have to respond to all of those needs. If you've ever looked at some of the housing developments in my area, you'll understand the problems. As a principal, I've kind of had this renewed energy. My hope is that we can put the community back in Lodge Community School and work as a collective group to address this area of Evansville. In August of 2023, Jonathan mentioned that Lodge was selected to be part of the Toyota National Driving Possibilities Program. Driving Possibilities is just a start. It is not what will fix the systemic problem. It has brought us some opportunities, so I don't want to leave those out. It's given a budget so that my staff has whatever resources they need. It has allowed me, she's standing in the back, to hire a bilingual student engagement coordinator who has made our multilingual families feel so much more at home because there's a face in the office of somebody that can communicate with them in their language. It has allowed for us to have a partnership with the Boys and Girls Club. I'm not sure, is Ron here tonight? No? Okay. Some of you may be familiar with Peacemakers. The Boys and Girls Club are now sponsoring, through this grant, student success mentors at Lodge. My lesson plans continue here. It says I have 1 minute. I told him, I said, I'm going to do my best, but sometimes I get on a little, tirade here. We're continuing through this grant to look for and work on other things. Family and community engagement, STEM education for our students, and what other things our community needs. Driving Possibilities has allowed me to ignite my dreams again, to realize that it is time. It's given me the forum to stand up here in front of all of you and say, go Lodge, right? Go Lions. Here's the good news. We have a lot of ideas. The bad news is we have a lot of needs. We currently are out of space. I don't have any more classrooms. I don't have any more offices. I'm out of space. I need a family engagement center. I need some place where I can hire another person who can manage the family needs. We have a health clinic, as I mentioned, that's only open 1 day a month. If anybody wants to help with that, please holler at me. We got a vaccination crisis, and we don't know how to put those two together. Ultimately, Lodge needs a partner. We need a community center. We need somebody who will take us under their wing and say, we've got you. We're in this with you, for your kids, for your families, for your community. Now, I'm going to finish with a song because, every time I hear something, I think of a song. And so I said I was a Disney fan, and one of the reasons why I had to tell you that is because I wanted to use this song lyric at the end. Has anybody seen the new movie Disney, The Wish? Yes, if you're a Disney fan, you've seen it. If you've got grandkids or granddaughters, you've seen it. You know all about Asha and the star. Now, Asha is talking to the sky because that's what her father and she did together, and she's wishing about her community. And she says, so I look up at the stars to guide me and throw caution to every warning sign. If knowing what it could be is what drives me, then let me be the first to stand in line. So I make this wish, to have something more for us than this. So I make this wish, to have something more for us than this. Thank you very much.